first known species of cats to develop were mastoids. They developed 35 million years ago, and they were able to travel all along the Earth because of the Ice Age. They were saber-tooth-like creatures with long tails, thick fur, and were very large carnivores. The next known species of cats developed were the Prolares. They developed 25 million years ago and were smaller, much like the modern house cat. They were smaller, most likely because there was lack of food in their areas. Then about 10 million years later, the Pussylidaris developed, and they had shorter tails, which meant the longer tails were no longer needed in cats. Then, after that, about 10.8 million years ago, the ice started to melt and water level rose, isolating all cats. This developed all modern cats that we know. One species that developed were the snow leopards. They were located in cold regions of Southern Asia, and they have thick fur, much like the mastoids, and are spotted, much like all modern cats.
Examples of fossils being discovered with Prolares. They were discovered in Cetina de Arga, outside of Zaragoza, Spain. The scientists using carbon dating listed the cats to 25 million years ago. They were about 90 centimeters long and had a smaller skulls than the previous mastoids. Being much smaller, this means that there was lack of food in the area, and through natural selection, Prolares developed smaller, house cat-like. One example of geographic isolation was the land bridge between Alaska and Russia, which cats would migrate to the Americas, and then after the ice melted, cats were forced to stay in the Americas, developing new species, eventually creating reproductive barriers and having reproductive isolation, which would breed new species. Mutations occur randomly in all animals, and the ones survive pass on that trait to their offspring. One example of this is lions who develop sand-colored fur who live in the sub-Saharan Africa and blend in their environment, so that's why they survive.
Around 9 million years ago, when the migration of the cats were beginning, the water levels in parts of the earth were extremely low. And what that created was certain bridges across land masses. So, for example, one would be the Bering Strait was exposed and connected the United States to Russia, and also the low levels in the Red Sea connected parts of Europe to Africa. And what that allowed the cats to do was not only move to those land masses, but once the species had migrated to those masses, the water levels rose back up and secluded them off from the bulk of the group, and so what you had was species sectioned off, and the only thing they could do was breed and further develop their species.
There are a couple different ways a new species can arise. If speciation occurs, a new species can form. Speciation is the development of a new species through interbreeding. When the isolated genes branch out and breed with another species, new genes are formed, and a new species is born. Reproductive barriers form new species also. A population is isolated by separation and evolves so that it can no longer mate with the other population. This is because of the developments of physical incompatibility, different mating habits, different times of mating, and different mating rituals. Speciation can occur in geographic isolation. Things such as mountains and rivers can cause species to stay in one area. Prevented from migrating, these species will start to mate with whatever species they are stuck with. This will cause a new set of genes from two different species. For example, land bridges allowed cats to travel, but when the water arose over the land bridge, they were geographically isolated. Species can also arise from a simple mutation. This mutation that occurs in the DNA sequence causes mixed matchups with the genes, creating new genes. With these new genes come different traits, resulting in a new species.
Evolution has only helped me in my progression in life. The evolution of things such as medicine, environmental science, food, and health can only help me in my survival in life. There are some things that can be negative, like the evolution of a certain bacteria or a certain disease, but things like that are battled by medicine and other fields that offset the progression of.
Understanding evolution can inform decisions like farmers. Farmers who know about natural selection continue to advance their pesticides because insects will adapt to the repellent over time. Understanding evolution can help inform decisions on other fields like criminal investigators, computer scientists, and doctors. For example, understanding the molecular clocks and using genetic markers allow criminal investigators to perform DNA analysis on murder victims. Computer scientists use DNA mutation and selection mechanisms to assist in solving difficult problems. Doctors can now genetically analyze different outbreaks and pathogens, discovering their root and better helping them toward a vaccination.